Happy Friday, everybody. Thank you so much for downloading or streaming the Be Our Guest podcast. Today, we have a fun show in store for you to get your weekend started right now. We have a special co-host. Trisha joins us from up in Wisconsin. You know her from the Be Our Guest podcast clubhouse. She hosts our daily trivia contests, and we talk about the small moments at the Disney parks and the resorts that make our trip special. It's not always about that next ride on Tron or getting over and hustling to Flight of Passage or even taking on Expedition Everest. Sometimes it's just a great snack from a Joffrey's cart and enjoying those people that we're around that make our vacations extra special. So today we're talking about each of the 4 Disney theme parks and even the resorts in special moments that make vacations what they are for us Disney fans. So I think you're really going to enjoy our virtual trip to Walt Disney World today. Don't forget, today's show brought to you by the Magic for Less Travel. We'd love to help you plan your next Disney adventure for no additional cost to you. Check out all the details today over at themagicforless.com. Please also use our Amazon affiliate link as you do that holiday shopping. That supports us. It's very simple. Just click through beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. And thank you so very much to our Patreon supporters. You guys make all these shows possible. We could not do this without you. You can support us just $5 a month, and for that support, you get a bonus show every week called Mike in the Midwest. Come over this week. We'd love to have you. Patreon.com/BeOurGuestPodcast.
Ready to take a trip to the world? You found the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. This is where your memories come front and center on our podcast stage.
Welcome to episode 2603 of the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Rallman from BeOurGuestPodcast.com and one of the senior agents over at the Magic for Less Travel. Happy Friday to you. Hope you're getting ready for a great weekend. Maybe it's one of those weekends where you're getting ready to go out and do some holiday shopping in a physical store as we are here in December. I guess people still do that here and there and everywhere. You got to supplement, the Amazon shopping. I guess you got to kind of do that to get in the spirit. Maybe you got to go out and see the big man at some point, right? You got to tell him what you want. He's out there hustling. He's got to find out if you've been naughty or nice and all that good stuff. So get out there and have some fun this weekend. But take the Be Our Guest podcast with you. And as you do that, we're going to have some fun here to kick off the weekend and just get you through the hustle and bustle of the season and take you kind of on a virtual mind's eye trip to the Disney parks. And I'm going to even take you on one of the Disney Cruise Line ships with one of my picks today, because we're going to talk about those small moments on your Disney vacation that really make the trip special. Not always. I know that when you watch a Disney commercial, right, you're always going to see somebody on the light cycle on Tron. That's fun. I get it. That is pretty cool. Or riding Flight of Passage. Again, I get it. Cool. That's fun. But a lot of times it's sitting on the curb eating a cookie. And we're going to talk about that kind of stuff. And who gave us this idea? We have a special co-host today, and I'm so excited to have her on the show. Trisha, up in Wisconsin, another hearty Midwesterner here in the month of December. We're making it through. We're having a good time. Trisha, thanks for coming on the show. Happy Friday. What's up?
Well, I don't know if I'm as hardy as you, since we don't have snow in Wisconsin right now.
I know. It's crazy, right? We have snow in Missouri. You do not in Wisconsin, but you are colder. So that makes it, you're hardier. Because I have this theory that I swear, and my wife, when it snows, I think it feels warmer than when it's like really cold and no snow and clear out. It makes it feel colder. I've always said that. So snow kind of makes you feel warmer. Not scientific though, even though I'm a science guy and so are you. You kind of like science too. So it's just it's a theory. I'm working on.
I don't know. Up here, no snow or snow. It's cold in Wisconsin.
For real. I get it. And then, my daughter moves to Chicago and I'm like, dude, I don't want nothing to Chicago. Like in June, I've been to Wrigley Field in June and it's like brutal cold, like with the wind, the early part of the season. Whew. She's like, you want to come up watch a basketball game? We're playing LSU December 19th. I'm like, I know you're playing like one of the best basketball teams in the country, and dude, I want nothing to do with Chicago in the middle of December. Are you kidding me? Like that is like the coldest. That's like the North Pole without Santa Claus. I mean, come on now, and it's probably not going to end well. You're playing the best basketball team in the country. No, it's gonna be that'd be a great upset, right? I mean, I'd be storming the court and probably end up in the Cook County Jail, probably, but it'd probably be worth it. She'd have to bail me out. It'd be worth it to beat LSU, I'll tell you that. But anyway, it's going to be fun.
Well, Mike, I can tell you, I'll be experiencing that in January. We have a hockey classic showdown at Wrigley Field in January. So I will be sitting out in the cold for 8 hours watching hockey at Wrigley Field.
Now, is that not the Blues game? Because the Blues are playing in the hockey.
No.
Okay, no.
That's our
the
Badgers here.
Okay.
And from Madison, they do a 4-team college like showdown. So we'll be pretty cold. Lots of hot hands.
Yeah, God bless you. I'm telling you what, man, the Wrigley Field is cold in June for a baseball game because I think the Blues are playing the Blackhawks this year in the Winter Classic again at Wrigley, and I'm like, dude, no thanks. Like, pass. I like the Blues, but not that much. So anyway, I didn't even go to the Mizzou game this past. I wanted to go. It snowed at our Mizzou game, right? This past Friday or Saturday. And like, I was all ready, dude. I had the Carhartt stuff ready to go. My Nike running Under Armour. I was ready. The girls a couple years ago got me some UGG like boots. I mean, like men's. I didn't have the girls. They're like men's UGG boots. I mean, people are making fun of me. I'm totally probably, but they're manly UGG boots. But I was ready to rock it out at the football game in the snow. My wife was not having 120 miles of Interstate 70 that's hilly and windy, and they're doing construction on it. She's like, no, we are not getting trapped in a snowstorm on the way to Mizzou for 120 miles. I was like, Pam, it's senior day. She's like, it's going to be senior day on TV, brother. We are not going. We have bald tires on the car. I was like, come on. Anyway, so we're going to be talking Disney. Let's do that. So you had an idea for a show, and we've actually done something similar to this like years and years ago, but that's the glory of doing a podcast for almost 17 years is we can go back and revisit a topic because things have changed, and there's an infinite amount of these things we can talk about today. And this time of year, this is a glorious thing to talk about because in your mind's eye, it can take you right back to a memory maybe you have, and maybe you've had something similar. And our chat can also join us. We have a lot of folks tuned in live, and we can read those as well. So we're going to talk about those small moments, things outside of the e-ticket attractions and those, things like, passing under the sign going into on property and things like that we always talk about. But the small moments sometimes that really make a Walt Disney World or a Disneyland or a Disney Cruise Line vacation outstanding, things that we love that we just, sometimes just you don't think about very often. So you mentioned this on the Clubhouse over at the Discord channel and got it started. So Trisha, give us kind of how this came to why did you think about this when you brought this up the other day, like around Thanksgiving?
Work's been pretty stressful for me.
Yeah.
So I have like a happy place that I go to in my mind. And it's always the one that I actually mentioned in the Clubhouse. And that is doing rope drop at Magic Kingdom. Unpopular opinion, Tomorrowland is my favorite land in Magic Kingdom. And I did this with my brother about a year ago. The two of us were there and we rope dropped Space Mountain on empty stomachs. That's critical.
Good idea.
Especially as you get older.
And
then when
you're a dietitian, correct? So I mean that is scientifically proven. Correct.
Yeah. And then when we got off, there's a Joffrey's coffee cart there, and they have like specialty bakery items and different drinks. So they had like seasonal ones with like peppermint in it. And we just got like a pastry and a drink, and we just sat and we watched like the masses of people run by to get into line and things like that. And I don't see my brother that often. He lives in Baltimore. So that was like a really special moment for the two of us to be together and just like literally the world stopped where we were, and it's just everything was rushing around us. And it was just, I go there because I just loved that moment when I'm feeling stressed at work.
Now, let me ask you this though, because that's kind of a double-edged sword, right? With doing what you did, right? You got to ride Space Mountain with your brother, ride at rope drop and have that fun. But when you got your Joffrey's treat, which I know the cart right there, because my go-to off that cart, I'm not a coffee drinker, but it does have the pink donut. man, I would kill for a Joffrey's pink donut right now. Those things are so, I don't know what it is because it's probably just a regular donut, but it's one of those things that it just tastes better because you're on vacation and you're at Walt Disney World, I think. But man, those things are stinking good. But do you have like FOMO that like you're pausing for a minute in that prime time of the first couple of hours the park's open, or can you let that go and just be in the moment of kind of like, okay, I'm gonna sit here and enjoy my snack and kind of enjoy the environment?
For me, I actually follow JOMO, the joy of missing
I
out.
like it.
Um, and I think I get to go frequently enough that I want to take those moments. And honestly, I feel like I remember more of the trip when I slow down versus trying to cram everything in. You're just miserable, your feet hurt. But if you take those moments to just enjoy, like, honestly, I've been so many times, and yet it still feels so surreal when you walk into any one of those parks. And I never want to lose that feeling. And I think taking a moment to sit down and being like, I am so blessed to be here is something that makes me want to go back again and again.
That is that. See, that's why I love having the show and getting different perspectives from folks that we get to talk to from different points of view and different love. Some people go for the very first time. Some people have been way more times than I have. And Joe, I've never heard that, and that's a great way to think about things. I love that, and everybody's going to hear that and hopefully share that with their family. Man, what a great perspective. It makes me think. So you're going to talk about like one for each park, you said, and also a resort. So I'm going to kind of go the same way. Yeah, I go down solo a lot for the race weekends. I'll be doing that again, in January because my wife has to teach and the girls are older now. So it's just me. And so I got to kind of find just go in and just find a thing to do, in my park days. And a lot of times, the same thing. I'll go back to Gaston's and just grab my big cinnamon roll and my Coke Zero and just really take it in. And just, I love it, right? It's a cozy little place to go have your breakfast. It's not a big breakfast. I mean, it's probably a billion calories with that cinnamon roll, but it makes me happy, right? And if I can get the chair under the big antlers or something like that, bonus. But if not, it's fun as a solo traveler. And I don't know how many people have actually traveled solo. Some people have, some people haven't, but you can get there and kind of, check in with everybody back home on your phone. But at the same time, what I'm doing is it's a small enough little cozy place at Gaston's where you can kind of hear the other families kind of preparing for the day. You can hear the little kids all excited for maybe they're going to go ride Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, or they're getting ready to go ride Dumbo, or the excitement, the grandparents kind of talking. It's cool because like you said, I've been many times in hearing just everybody's plans and the excitement for the day because the day's kicking off and everything's in front of everybody. And I kind of like being a fly on the wall and hearing everybody's plans and kind of that thing. It's fun for me.
I think it helps. I think it helps you too. Like when you hear other people's plans, it's like, oh yeah, that sounds like a great idea. Oh, I remember when I did that for the first, it kind of brings that nostalgia piece in for yourself too.
Yeah, totally. I think some people are worried like, oh, if I go by myself, I'm going to be like lonely, it's going to be kind of depressing. And it's not. I mean, it's a lot of fun because you have the freedom to do whatever you want, whenever you want. And with your phone, you can text and, Scott's like when Scott's down there, we're always texting and talking, and I'm always watching him on Find My Friends. We're communicating. I'm with my family too. And I'm posting pictures on social media. So it's not that, but it's also just kind of like the fly on the wall, it just kind of watching and observing. Now it is kind of sad when I see dads and daughters interacting. I'm like, oh man, I wish I was doing this with Mallory or whatever, Paige back in the day. But yeah, they're almost, they got too old too fast on me, so I can't even go there. All right, so let's go to what park do you want to go to next? I like that one.
Why don't we go to Animal Kingdom?
I like it. Go ahead.
I really like the Maharaja Jungle Trek. It never has a wait line, so you can just get in line and start walking and seeing all the animals. But one thing that's really special to me about this is my daughter and I watched the Magic of Disney's Animal Kingdom show on Disney Plus, and we made an Excel spreadsheet. So kind of like Scotty's been doing in the clubhouse with all of his things.
He's insane with that. By the way, he's like, dude, I made a spreadsheet. I'm like, okay, you did. He showed me that. I'm like, you kept track of every meal you've ever eaten. I'm like, are you nuts? I mean, I can only say it because he's at Walt Disney World right now. I'm like, That is next level. Like, as he said, I mean, even when he said he kept track of every place he stayed, I thought that was crazy. Then he's got like every meal. I'm like, oh, I love you. Like that. That's why we're brothers. That's great. That's insanity. I love him. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, so we made an Excel spreadsheet of all the animals, their names, the animal like care team that worked with them, and then like notes about like what they were doing in the show. And my daughter absolutely loved the tiger who's on this walk, and we just happened to be there when one of the care specialists was actually like they kind of stationed them throughout the walk. And I think she had a 30-minute conversation with this person, and it was so awesome to see the cast member light up because it's like somebody's showing interest in
Yes.
this. And like my daughter can be very chatty. So it was just a really, again, it's that slowing down, it's taking that time. If you've never taken the time to talk to an animal or a cast member in either Animal Kingdom or Animal Kingdom Lodge, I highly recommend doing that. They're just a lot of the times they're even from like Africa, and they can share insights. We actually got to do that at the lodge with a gentleman that was from like South Africa, and he was talking about all the things he's seen there. And it increases the size of your world when you can do that. So I highly recommend taking the time to, not 30 minutes like my daughter, but a couple minutes to just learn something about, what they have to share.
And you know what? For that cast member too, it probably made that person's day as well, because somebody showed interest in what they're doing and they feel appreciated because they have this knowledge. And when you have knowledge, the best thing to do with knowledge is to share it and pass that on. And, Lorelai is going to take that and run with it when she gets back to Wisconsin and, tell everybody about that experience. I mean, that's what I love, right? Is that it wasn't this one thing happened at this one point in time in the animal kingdom, yet we're talking about it, at this point in time later. It lives on. That's so cool. I love hearing that. That's awesome. I'm trying to think about what mine would be at Animal Kingdom because I hate to say it, but Animal Kingdom is my park where I go least. For me, I guess my small moment over there is typically when I go to Flame Tree. I like to get something to eat there and just go way in the back there. And I don't know if you guys see, the thing is, I don't go to Flame Tree as much as I did back in the day. Flame Tree used to be my go-to place to eat there, but then it got replaced by Satuli Canteen because I love Satuli and it's replaced. But the Flame Tree smells so good when they start firing it up around lunchtime. But I used to go there and then I would go way in the back there and just sit where you can just overlook Expedition Everest and see that beautiful view. But that would be, it's so peaceful back there. It's almost like you're not in a theme park. And I would sit back there and they've done a good job of mitigating the birds. Back in the day, the birds used to be terrible. But that's kind of my just moment where I would sit back there and just kind of take in you would hear the coaster and the excitement of it, but it felt like it was like 2 miles away, and it's not. It's just right across a couple paths. But you'd have some good barbecue, some slaw, maybe a dessert, and just be able to kind of get a little respite there back and take it all in. But that was kind of my my chill out small moment time back in Animal Kingdom, I would say. All right, so you want to go to the studios next?
Sure.
All right, what do you got?
Okay, well, if you can tell behind me, everything is Star Wars.
I like it.
I have a Star Wars Christmas tree.
See it?
There's actually a droid down here that I made. You can't see it, but I did go to Savi's workshop and I've got my lightsaber mounted on my wall. I love Star Wars. I'm wearing an Ahsoka Tano shirt. Actually listening to some of the podcast episodes from last week. I also have a Star Wars tattoo.
Nice.
That I got at Star Wars Celebration, so I've been to the cons. So of course I'm going to say Galaxy's Edge. And honestly, it's like the entirety of Galaxy's Edge, but besides doing Savi's, which I had the biggest grin on my face when I was doing it. Like I felt like a kid waiting in line to see Santa when I did that experience. I love the fact that there are still opportunities for Disney to make adults feel like kids. I just love that. And that was an experience for me. The trip when I was with my brother, he's also a Star Wars fan. I also really enjoy the First Order area, and when Kylo Ren comes down on his ship and the stormtroopers are there, and we were in the audience and I booed really loud, and then they looked right at me and they like pointed and said something, and I pointed at my brother to make it look like he was the one that had booed. So like that interaction with characters I just think is so great. You don't get to see that as much in some of the other areas. They allow those walk around characters in Galaxy's Edge, which I think is, very gives you very unique opportunities. But probably the biggest thing was if you have a Magic Band Plus, they do the Bounty Hunter Guild like game that you can play. And my brother and I were so determined. We were like, oh, they're good. They're gonna give us something. Like we're gonna get like a coupon code or go here and get a pin at the end. And we played the game for 4 hours. So I do not recommend playing this. We put on 15 miles in Galaxy's Edge.
Oh my God.
Just in Galaxy's Edge. Walking around because you have to go out of all these different doors and stuff. And at the very end, it just resets the game and you start over.
Oh,
and my brother was like, are you kidding me?
Like,
so
sorry. Thanks for playing.
That experience. Yeah. So I went on Etsy for Christmas last year and I bought him a Bounty Hunter Guild pin with the emblem.
Thank you.
As like a way to make me like, hey, look, you win this.
This is your
4 hours later.
This is your half marathon in 4 hours and 2 extra miles medal for your sticking this one out for all that work. Sorry. Thanks for playing.
So I'd recommend doing a couple of the bounties if you want to try it out. It gets very tedious after a while.
So I know this is kind of off topic, but you're the perfect person to ask. Like Galaxy's Edge it's great. Like, right. I mean, we got the model of the Millennium Falcon, which I think like when I saw it, I almost cried the first time. Like I was like, this is incredible for my childhood. Cause Star Wars to me came out when I was 4 and I grew up with the original trilogy and, and everything. And it's amazing. What would you like if you could give one improvement to Galaxy's Edge as a land? What would you do to it? Because it's kind of ambiguous, right? And they made it that way, so it's not set in any particular like movie. Is there anything you would do to make it a little bit better right now?
I know they want to keep things in a timeline, so that's why it's all like the sequel trilogy. But I would love it if they would go back to the original trilogy and even the prequels. I've read every novel that Galaxy's Edge is in. There's actually several. They made a travel guide, actually was in Disneyland when I met the writer of that book.
They should ask you.
And that was totally by chance. He just happened to be there and he ran into me and I had it open and I was walking through Galaxy's Edge like a tourist. And he's like, hey, what do you think of that book? And I was like, oh, I love it. This is great. He's like, I wrote that.
Dang.
And I was like, I have to get a picture with you.
Well,
so that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, you're like, well, let's talk for a few minutes. Yeah.
But in all of that, they actually do mention Batu, the planet where this takes place, in all of that like timeline. And I feel like they need to like loosen it a little bit. And I think it'd be great if like, 11 a.m., you'd see like original stormtroopers roll out with Darth Vader, and maybe at like 2 p.m, then you see the First Order, and then maybe 4 o'clock or so you see Grogu with the Mando come out. Like it'd be great if they would do all like eras of it and not just the most recent stuff.
Now see, and here's what I'm thinking. This is just me as a Disney fan, right? And I've always said competition is always a good thing. And I'm a sports guy. I'm 100% a sports guy. I've always coached and, with my girls and stuff like that. Paige works in, that she works in sports and that's all we watch around here. But I think competition brings out the best in not just sports, but in everybody, in the business world and in theme parks. I think it will too. And Epic Universe is opening this next summer. You just got back from a Universal trip. We've been talking about this in the clubhouse. And I think the possibility of what Epic Universe will be offering over there could bring about, Disney to up their game with not only bringing about new lands like Villains Land and this new Cars experience coming to the Magic Kingdom and so forth. They're going to be bringing a lot of new experiences to the parks, but also in the back of my mind, I'm thinking that, like you just said, they have this amazing land, Galaxy's Edge, both at Disneyland and Walt Disney World. That seems like such a simple fix, right? Just take it and take it to the next level. You know what I'm saying? Like have the stormtroopers kind of like they used to do with Streetmosphere at Disney's Hollywood Studios. At 11 o'clock, it's time for the stormtroopers to go to work. You know, and they're all reporting in. You know, checking in, and Darth Vader's marching them out. Did you go to the studios back in the day when they didn't have Galaxy's Edge yet? They didn't have, but they had, basically they marched out from Launch Bay. I mean, when they did that stuff was pretty epic. Before Galaxy's Edge, I enjoyed that stuff.
Yeah, I remember it was kind of towards the new stuff because they had like Captain Phasma and the Silver.
Yeah,
she like led them out.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it was predictable.
I missed that.
It was. I mean, Batuu. I would rather have the land. You know what I'm saying? The land is pretty epic with every the visuals, and you can hear the soundscapes of the ships going over, but the way they made the experiences of like the marches and coming out. I know some people said it was like a fashion show with the droids and stuff coming up on the stage, but it was, in a way, I kind of missed that. Like it was an epic like experience of everybody coming out and you could see them and take pictures. Phasma, you're right.
Yeah.
I miss Phasma. That was neat. Yeah. Anyway, we're kind of getting off track. But you're an expert, so we have an expert. I try to take advantage of it, and you're an expert. So mine at the studios. I love sitting on Sunset Boulevard. Again, kind of like I said with over at Magic Kingdom in the morning. I like just sitting like any time of the day on Sunset Boulevard and just taking in, watching people go back and forth down Sunset. And a lot of times it's because people are checking out Tower of Terror and they're either talking about what they're going to do, either they're going to ride it or not. Because you can hear people screaming at the top all the time. Just in watching, people coming and going. And Sunset to me is kind of like old Hollywood studios. It's I don't know. It's not Toy Story Land. It's not Galaxy's Edge. It's not new studios. It's not new Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. It's almost like a relic of the old park at this point. And it's got great background music, and it's just, it's got a little hustle and bustle, but not too much. So I just kind of like grabbing a snack and maybe sitting like outside of Rosie's, over by maybe Fairfax Fair, and just chilling out over there and kind of taking it in and just enjoying the day. If it's a nice day, if it's hot, maybe not, but depends on the weather. So that's kind of my spot. All right, so let's go over to Epcot. What do you got for Epcot?
So I love the macaron ice cream sandwich in the French Pavilion.
Oh man, I'll go for
So
that
getting
too.
that.
Yes. Uh-huh.
And then finding an area that's just quiet. It's pretty hard to find seating back there, but if you can get like a ledge around the water feature that they have, like that would be really great, a spot to sit. Otherwise, just kind of milling about that land now that they've expanded it too to include Remy's. There's more space to explore. So just honestly exploring anything, grabbing your favorite snack. There's just so much that I think we don't see at Epcot because we're too busy going to like the next thing, or there's a festival and we're trying to get through the cookie walk or go to this booth and that booth and check things off in the passport of like the food items. And I know this is something that I really hope to spend more time on when I go for Princess Weekend, is to just slow down and enjoy what Epcot has to offer without all the like frills and gimmicks of festivals.
Right. So let me ask you this too, while we're over at Epcot now. What do you think about all the changes that have come about to Epcot in the past like 3 to 4 years, especially with like, the revamping of the old Future World to what it is now? You a fan?
Okay, I don't get sick on Guardians, so I do love that, but I grew up with Ellen and I'm sad to see that go. I was around for veggie, fruit,
Mhm.
and Body Wars and all those things that aren't there anymore. And it's sad, but it kind of harkens to what Walt Disney said, that like the parks are meant to be changing. And I think finding joy in the things that are there now. I was so nervous going on Guardians and I have to blame you for that because of
Well,
your,
and
your
I know
retelling of
I
it.
probably blow it out of proportion because I'm an old man yelling at the clouds at this point. I hate that, and I shouldn't be like that. But I mean, it is what it is. Like, and I always try to clarify that it is an amazing attraction. It is awesome. I
Yeah.
mean, it does it
Um,
rings all the bells and the whistles. But man,
so
it's intense.
I, but I'm glad I had that experience. It was so funny because I do get motion sickness, so I wear the sacropine patches that people wear like on like sailings for cruise ships and stuff. And I had like peppermint oil under my nose, and I had these like
Well,
wristbands
see,
that
you went in.
like
Look
arm
at you.
pushers going
You
in.
had all the stuff. I went in after having a margarita and like 3 empanadas in Mexico. That's my problem.
And even with that and the apprehension that I had, I really, it sounds so silly as an adult, but sometimes like we don't get a lot of opportunities to face challenges anymore. Like I've been at my job for 15 years. I'm pretty good at it. I don't see a lot of new things. So there it's like kind of a sense of accomplishment and pride when you try something for the
Mhm.
first time. And I am glad that Disney does offer that. And it is still is sad when you lose some of the things that you grew up with.
I'm with you. I mean, because for one thing, Body Wars, I did that a couple times back in the day. That thing killed me because that simulator was just rough. I mean, plus, like, I can't stand blood. I can't stand like seeing anything like that. I mean, just like that made me gag. You know what I'm saying? Like, if somebody's like bleed, I have to run. Like, I can't do that. So the fact that it was a simulator and you were going through somebody's like veins got me out, man. I was like, oh my gosh, you're killing me. So that was out. And I can see where, I mean, again, I'm very nostalgic and I like old stuff. Like I still think Living with the Land is the best thing ever. So please never ever take that away. But I can understand the argument where the world has moved on past an attraction like Ellen's Energy Adventure. Like that was super slow and super long. I loved it. Don't get me wrong. I wish it was still here. Like that's my jam at this point in my life. But I can see where the world would make fun of that at this point. Like it was slow and not really cool for 2024. And Guardians, like, there's no way you're gonna say like, okay, do we want Guardians or Ellen's? I mean, there's no argument. I can't argue it anymore. There's no way you can't do that. So I get it, but like I do miss like Fountain of Nations. Like that was a beautiful fountain. Like that, I miss kind of that, because it had music. Yeah, you got wet when it was windy. I mean, that was interactive. It was fun. But I don't know. You're right. You just got to embrace the changes and you get new stuff. Do you have a better attitude with it? I think it's, I have a harder time with change. I'm very, very nostalgic. I do enjoy though, like Creation or Connections Cafe. That's a nice upgrade. That's nice. I did like Electric Umbrella, but again, I like, the old K cafes back in Kmart's, cafeterias. So I'm old. I don't know. I mean, okay. Let me ask. Here's the killer question: would you rather have Creation Shop or would you rather have Mouse Gear back? Tell me you wouldn't rather have Mouse Gear. Come on, you got to rather have Mouse Gear, right? Without the smell.
Yeah, that was my thing. Like you cannot have this
because that place did stink. It was built over a trash compactor or something.
Okay, and I listened when you guys were talking about shopping locations on one of the episodes, and I honestly don't mind World of Disney because I basically just buy Star Wars stuff, so I know exactly where to go. So if you're going in there for a purpose, I honestly think that the store at Epcot is just a light version of that. So everyone like rails on World of Disney, and I'm like, well, this is just a white sterile version, slightly smaller of that.
See,
It's all open.
you go to
I
buy
feel
though.
overwhelmed there.
You go to buy, you don't go to shop. Like that's I'm a buyer. I don't like this to hang out. Like I'm on a mission. Whew. Man, I don't like this hanging out. Oh, yeah. But which one though? Would you rather Mouse Gear or Creations?
Again, if there wasn't a smell, I think I might have to say Mouse Gears because I grew up in the era of the Disney store in malls.
Yes.
And it just had a little bit of that flair to it.
Character.
And like
it had a soul.
I miss that.
It did. It was gaudy, but it had a heart.
I
love it.
like gaudy.
I do too. I mean, look at this. Look at around me. It's gaudy in here. It's why my wife says I have to keep the door closed. She's like, close the door on that mess. Keep it in the basement. That's exactly it. She hates this, but I love it. We're opposites and we're married. That's just how it works. All right. So you have one for the, this is so much fun. This is why I love we have such great community because we all appreciate things for different reasons. And that's what the parks and the Disney community is all about. All right. So let's go to a resort. What do you got for the resorts?
So we did a split stay the first time we took my daughter down, and we ended up at Fort Wilderness and stayed in a cabin, the old school cabins.
Nice.
And yes, they are very hard to get into the bed.
I've heard that.
When someone
I've heard
so
that.
I end up sleeping on the bottom bunk. But my husband unfortunately had to work the last night we were there, and my daughter was bummed, and I was like, hey, let's go to the campfire. And we didn't have the golf cart. That was a mistake. So we're walking along, and one of the cast members in a golf cart came up on us and was like, hey, where are you going? We're like, oh, we're walking over to the campfire. And she's like, I'm headed that way. Why don't I give you a ride? And we got in, and she was just kind of asking like where we're from. And they're really great at like engaging you in conversation. And then my daughter made a comment that she was sad that her dad had to work and wasn't joining us for this. And I was like, yeah, it kind of sucks, but we'll still have fun. And we went, and we were like standing in line to get the, overly priced s'mores kit. And she walked back up to us and was like, hey, do you want to meet some special friends? And Lorelai's like, yeah. So she took us back behind where the seating is. And we had 15 minutes, just her and I with Chip and Dale. And we got to walk in with them before they do like a sing along, and then they do like a movie. And so we were like the family of the night, and it was just such a special moment. I have like the best pictures. She took my phone and was taking pictures of us like walking in with them. And then to this day, like they have like shorts on Chip and Dale. We found their their gold statue in Magic Kingdom, and my daughter and I like posed with them. And to this day, that they are her favorite character because of that interaction and that chance that she had. So I like having the opportunity to find the hidden like gems at the resorts is like why you need to stay on site. Like people talk about the price, but there is so much that you gain when you do stay on site that you miss out if you're staying off property.
Well, and kudos to that cast member too, because the cast member had two opportunities at that point, right? They could just driven right past and gone on with their day, and they're doing their job. They're just moving on. But a great cast member sees an opportunity to make somebody's day, and not just make somebody's day, make somebody's trip and make a memory forever. Again, we're talking about this because you got that special moment, and they're going that way anyway. And I would imagine that, there's probably two kinds of cast members, right? There's cast members that see this as a job, and there's cast members that see this as a passion, that want to do this because they are truly in it to really make the experience better for each and every guest. And that's what you came upon that day. And I mean, I'm sure when they were in the golf cart, you were just thinking about at first, like they're talking, this person's talking you up, asking you where you're from, like you said. But in their mind's eye, they're thinking, "Oh yeah, we're gonna go." They're in for a treat. She knew this at the time, or he knew this, and what a great experience. I mean, because it probably wasn't any harder for them. They were probably going there, and they knew they were, doing this job anyway. But wow, what an experience! How cool is that? Yeah. That you got to hang out with Chip and Dale before the show, before the sing along. I've heard that's a cool experience too. Is that something that everybody should check out over at the fort?
Yes, and if Scotty catches any of this, he needs to do that since he's staying there.
Yeah, he's there tonight.
The campfires are great.
Yeah.
The campfires are great. Like this is a good time too because it is a little bit cooler in the evenings down there. We were there in February when we had that experience, so it was like jacket weather for Florida. But I would highly recommend doing it. It's a lot of fun, and I'm a stickler for schedule. I'm going to say this to all the schedule parents out there. You got to let loose a little bit. I let my daughter stay up late. She was 4 years old, and it's one of the only memories she still can recall very clearly, and that was, like, worth her going to bed an hour later.
Yes. I mean, yeah, I mean, you got to live a little, even when you're 4, I guess, you know. But I'm the same way, you know. I'm very schedule driven. It drives me crazy. Like my watch goes off at 10:30 every night. Like, it's your bedtime. Like, I'm 50 years old, but whatever. My wife makes fun of me. I'm like, I'm a robot, but same thing. So this has been fun, but let me ask you this. So cruise line. Now we are going on the podcast cruise. You're joining us in July on the Disney Magic. Can't wait. Got my hoodie on from the last one. And now, have you sailed on Disney Cruise Line before? Ever? I haven't asked you that.
I've never stepped foot on a cruise ship.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, then you don't have a small moment for a Disney cruise yet. That's awesome. So let me ask you this though, because I know how you are, because we're kind of friends and we've met up for Mexican here at El Azteca once, and I had a good time there with your family. It was great. What are you? Because I know you probably researched this. Like, what do you think you're going to enjoy as far as the cruise ships, outside of like the obvious? But I mean, we're going to be sailing the Disney Magic. We're going to Castaway Cay. We're going to Lookout Cay. Can't wait for that double dip. But on the ship itself, like, is there something that's outside of the, you know, obvious that you're kind of looking forward to, kind of off the beaten path?
Well, I'm trying to go in with realistic expectations. You know, this being my first cruise, I don't think we're going to have the access to online or onboard activities that, you know, more seasoned cruisers will have. So we're trying to take advantage of like just what is offered without, you know, the hectic having to scramble and be up whatever midnight. Or I was
Mhm.
reading about how to do all that, and I'm like, well, that sounds right up my alley.
Yeah.
But I actually bought like a GoPro type camera that's in a waterproof case. And my daughter's on a swim team. She loves swimming. So I'm really hoping to get some pretty awesome video and photo of her like snorkeling. I heard there's like an underwater like statue garden that I know she's gonna want to check out. So like I'm looking forward to like the pristine water.
Oh, so yes, and absolutely. We don't have a GoPro, but I've always been wanting to get one, and you'll love that snorkeling at Castaway Cay. My daughter Mallory, I can't snorkel. I cannot. I think it is physical. My brain won't work to breathe while my face is underwater. I can't do it. I tried to scuba dive when I was at space camp, because it was one of our advanced camps academies that I did with my advanced teachers, and they offered me to go down 30 feet in the tank, and they told me about the bends, and I'm like, nope. Because they said if you panic down there and you shoot to the top, you will have pains like you've never had in your life. Your capillaries will explode. I'm like, I'm out. I'm like, I love you guys, but I will take video I'll take all the pictures from the top of the tank when you guys get out. I'm like, I am not having exploding veins from something called the bends. They showed me the video. I'm like, peace out, brothers. I'm not going. Because they're like, you're good. Just if you freak out, just don't go up fast. Just go up, stop after 2 feet. Just wait for your body to recompress or whatever. I'm like, dude, if I freak out at the bottom of that tank, first thing I'm gonna do is go whoosh, straight up. And they're like, you will die. I'm like, I am not going in then, because they had me all hooked up with the tanks, and I'm like, no. Anyway, Castaway Cay, and I haven't been to Lookout either. So this will be my first time going there. But the snorkeling at Castaway, man, Mallory loves it. She always goes with Pam Forrester, because Pam Forrester is a snorkeling queen. So those two always snorkel together. But yeah, Lorelai, boom, she needs to snorkel with Mallory. Mallory will go out there, and they do. They have all the statues and all the stuff under the water. I don't snorkel, but that way Mallory will have a buddy, and they can get all the video and all the pictures and all that stuff. It is so cool. I'll just hang out on the beach and enjoy the sand and the water. I don't need to be under it. I can just kind of chill in it. I'm good above it. But yeah, but on the ships though, there's great things to do. Like, you know, if I was going to say like a small moment to just kind of enjoy is like, there's a Cove Cafe, and I'm not even a coffee person, but you can go in like early in the morning and they have free pastries and just kind of chill out with a book, you know, or something like that to enjoy. Or you got to see a sunrise and a sunset on a ship. They're so beautiful. There's not really many people that get up on decks in the morning early. It's great. So yeah, you're going to have a good time. I can't wait. It's not that far off. It's like 260 days at this point. Something to look forward to.
I have the countdown going.
It's on this thing right here in the office. I see it every day, so it should be pretty soon. Well, Trisha, hey, what a great time today on the show. I appreciate you taking the time to make the show awesome and give us a little virtual vacation to the Disney parks and the resorts today. So much fun. So thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
All right. So any big plans for the weekend? You guys doing any like holiday stuff up in Wisconsin? How are things? Go hockey games? What you got?
Well, actually, yes, we have a hockey game on Saturday. And my daughter's in band. So instead of doing a winter concert, our school has a pancake breakfast with Santa. And each of the bands gets a 30-minute slot to perform and be like the background music for the experience. So we'll be eating pancakes with Santa this weekend.
God, man, that sounds glorious. Pancakes and good music and get to put in a good word with the big man. I mean, doesn't get better than that. That sounds great. Hopefully maybe it'll get up to 50 this weekend up in Wisconsin too. Let's hope. All right, Trisha, you have a good weekend. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, don't forget today's show is brought to you by the Magic for Less Travel. We'd love to help you plan your next Walt Disney World, Disneyland, Disney Cruise Line, or Adventures by Disney vacation. Just check out all the details today over at themagicforless.com. Please also use our Amazon affiliate link when you do all that holiday shopping. Just bookmark it, put it right there in your toolbar, and click through it as you make all those purchases this holiday season. It's beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. And thank you so very much to our Patreon supporters. You guys make the show possible. It's just $5 a month. And for that support, you get a bonus show every week. It's called Mike in the Midwest. Come over this week. We'd love to have you at patreon.com/beourguestpodcast. Give me a follow on the social media. I'm at beourguestmike on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads. I'm also on Blue Sky because I'm going to be going on the Disney Treasure next week. I'm going to be heading to Animal Kingdom Lodge on Wednesday or Thursday. I'm on the 11th. And then I'm sailing the Disney Treasure on the 12th to the 15th. And I'll have internet access and checking it all out. I'll be online a lot. So follow me on the socials so you can check out this great new ship in the Disney Cruise Line fleet. So follow me over there. And of course, we'll have a live show this Sunday night, 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Central. It's the BOGP open line. Scott will be back. We'll be talking about golf carts, cabins. I think he's even going to the cake bake shop. He went to Candlelight Processional for the first time and all that good stuff. So give us a call this Sunday night. We'll be talking Disney with you. All right. Till we get back together again in 48 hours or so. We hope you had a great show. We hope you enjoyed our show today. We hope you have a great weekend. So for Trisha up in Wisconsin, go Badgers. I'm Mike here in Missouri, MIZ. You guys have a great weekend. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you real soon.
You've been listening to the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. If you have questions, comments, or would like to be a guest on the show, please visit our website at beourguestpodcast.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you real soon.